The ocean spirit dances today to abundance and joy and to eternal peace.
See, this is what we're hoping for. This is part of our hope. Not only that we are members of the elect with fruits meet for repentance, like John the Baptist said, but from our low estate, because we've been brought low, even though we have this knowledge, we have this truth. Remember what it said in Revelation. I know thy works in tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. Why are we rich? Because we're rich in faith. We have this knowledge. So our hope is at our last end, we're going to be increased. Okay? And if you ask me, the greatest riches right now is to be delivered by Yahushua, is to get that new body that the Apostle Paul spoke about in 1 Corinthians 15th chapter, to get that, get that new body where we'll never be sick, we'll be immortals, like it said in 1 Corinthians 15, to be delivered from the coming destruction, and to be a part of Yahushua's cabinet in the next kingdom. Okay? Those are the real riches right now. That's what we want to get. Because if you get that, you got everything. I mean, you got everything. Okay? So our sights are set a lot higher than this present world. All right? As it is written, the fashion of this world shall pass away. We are individuals of vision. And the scripture said where an individual lacks vision, he perishes. Okay? So we can see the future. All right? And we hope that we're going to be part of it, beginning with the elect.
This entire universe belongs to you, my son.
And we're going to fully have power over the elements. The way we're going to build things, the ingenuity, the creativity. All right? Being able to build with the vibration of sound, being able to move boulders with our mind, the kingdom will be far out, man. Our water systems, our irrigation systems, clean water, clean air, can only imagine it, man. But it's not a fantasy, it's going to be a reality. But such a massive reality that it's going to be surreal. Okay? This kingdom that's coming is going to be surreal, man. Okay? And the Heavenly Father's only doing this for his people, but he's doing it really to magnify his name. And he's going to put his name on us forever. Okay? We're going to be named after Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua forever. Okay? But it's going to be a manifest token that we are the people of the Heavenly Father. All right? Streets of gold. The foundation stones of the kingdom. Made of all manner of precious stones. It's all evidence that we are the people of the Heavenly Father. He hasn't done this for anyone else. Okay? And we'll be able to branch out into these different distant galaxies within the universe. Okay? We'll have some insight into the Father's house, which is the universe, which is unlimited. We're gonna have unlimited access to the Heavenly Father's house. All right? And you can't limit the Heavenly Father. You hope for elect out there, you'll have access to the chariots. You'll have access to these different planets within these galaxies, within the universe. Or Hey, maybe Yahweh through Yahweh give you your own galaxy. Once again, you can't limit Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, man. Okay? Everything within our kingdom is going to raise your vibration, raise your spirit. Okay? That's the kingdom that we're looking forward to, man. Constant building, constant healing, constant praising Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. So with that, I want to give all praises to our power, our Father, Kahalayla, Alahayanawa, Abanawa, Yahweh, Bashim Yahweh Shai, Bashim Rakakudash. Double honor to our elder apostles and elder bishops, the great millstone, still well. Peace and blessed house of David the elect. Stay strong, Yasharala. We almost home. Shalom.
Right. Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Rakakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers, and peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word and truth and then sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Rakakwadash, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. All right. And what we're going to get into this morning, this edition with morning news and prophecy, okay, is mainly the topic of the American people, will suffer, and more, because we have to understand, the elites, when you go into America, America was founded, as an experiment by the elites. Okay. When you really get into it, the elites have always had their hands, in the government and the policies, okay, that control the American population, and as time has went on, they become stronger and stronger, more influential, okay? And there's no country on the planet Earth that's influenced more by the enchantments of the elite than America, man. We got a couple of videos to get into that, okay? And this is all a sign of the times that we're in, because great tribulation has to happen. Suffering has to happen. Great miseries has to happen. These things have to play out, and for especially the last few, decades, since the elites have, tapped into what first the TV, the television, okay, and then, and amplified with social media, they've been able to enchant the masses, all right, on the more amplified level, okay, and all these things are happening, all right, because it's the build up to Yahweh Shai. Okay. And we're going to speak about that every day. You see, everything that we can discuss and go into, well, it all leads to Yahweh Shai. Okay. And even Yahweh Shai spoke about, the end. Let's go here. And then you had, we'll go into 2 also. There was an earthquake in Colombia, 7.4, the same magnitude as the one that happened in Venezuela. Was Colombia, borders, all right, Venezuela, okay. Now, when you go into the book of Matthew 24 and 23, all right, as the disciples was inquiring about the end of the world, and we speak about the end of the world, we're speaking about the end of the age of Esau, okay, because this is Esau's world, okay, this is his age, he has, power, authority, okay, over the planet Earth. You see, this man has the ability to create, a false reality, man, and make it the standard. Not only does this man has the ability to create false, realities through his media, social media, okay, his enchantments, the food, the music, all play a part into it, and much more. But this man has the ability to make that false reality seem as if the truth and as the standard. Okay. So when you go into Matthew 24 and 3, it says, and he sat, and this is Yahweh Shai, he sat upon the Mount of Olives. The disciples came to him privately, saying, "Tell us when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world?" Yeah, so it's all about, the sign of the coming of Yahushua. This is what we're about, man. We're watching the sign of the coming of Yahushua, man. Okay? Because we go into it, man. Hey, we really don't give a damn about these other nations, Palestinians, even Iran. Iran, they show integrity. But at the end of the day, it's bigger than what Iran is doing, what Russia is doing. We get into these things because it's a sign linked to the coming of Yahushua. Okay? They're not fanatics, of these other nations. Okay? And how they're moving. No, we're watching for our power to come back, man. All right? Because the earth, all right, needs a righteous rulership. The earth needs a change in rulership. Okay? Not a new system within this system, but a completely new system of governance and righteousness, man. And that's going to happen at the coming of Yahushua. Okay? So it says, let's keep reading. And it says, and Yahushua answers to them, "Take heed that no man deceive you." And see, we in these times of major deception, man. Psyops have gone. Hey, this man, Esau Edom has mastered, psyops. Okay, which is a psychological operation, which is nothing but the tactical, way of saying enchantments. And when you keep reading, it says, "For many shall come in my name, saying I'm anointed, and shall deceive many." Okay, and it's not as much as people coming and saying that they're Yahushua. Okay, but you have, a culture where there's a lot of people that's moving as if they have the way. Okay, this culture of influencers, you see, for everyone, a lot of people, you see on social media, even amongst Israelite camps, okay, even amongst these certain influencers, all right. So whether it's General Yohana, Charleston White, okay, or or Elon Musk, okay, they're all in the category of moving as if they have the way. You see, as if they should be followed, man. And it's all through deception. You see, deception is at an all-time high, man. To get people to bend the knee, in order to take this sea hill, you have to be deceived. Okay, that comes before. All right, taking the sea hill is the deception, man. So there's extreme deception that's going on, and that's why the Spirit of the Lord has increased on the right-hand side. That's why the Spirit been on brothers to be more diligent, to be more consistent, to be more fervent, because the left hand is turning up. So the right hand got to turn up, man. Okay, so there's a spirit of deception that's heavy in the earth, man. Okay, so let's go from there. Let's keep reading. I'm gonna segue to this little video about this earthquake. It says, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet." And that's what we're hearing, because there's constant circulation of new stories about what nation is going to do this and what nation is going to do that. Now, what we're seeing now is that these nations are locked in, because the foundation of this war is Iran and America. Okay, and ain't no decoupling that conflict. Okay, ain't no decoupling it. That's the foundation of the war that's going to lead to World War III. You see, but as this war is going on, it's going to be all this information coming out. But we know other things have to play out before this war goes nuclear, man. We fully understand this. So you're going to hear all type of rumors and this and that, and we comb through things and bring out things that align with prophecy, man. Okay, a lot of information is distraction and clickbait. When you go into watching videos about what's happening. That's why I try to keep the sources reliable and limited, and really comb through and filter everything through the scriptures. Because if it don't concern scripture, then it just fluff. Okay, it says, "For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows, man. And this is the atmosphere that we live in real time. Okay, these nations, okay, are beginning to rise against each other, man. Because even with Yemen and Saudi Arabia, that's intensifying, man. Saudi just tried to do a ground invasion. All right, they got murked. Okay, Yemen, constantly shooting ballistic missiles at Saudi, so that's intensifying. So every other week there's a new, all right, rivalry that sparks off, man. There's a new conflict that's sparking off, man, and it's joining, okay, this collective war. Okay, these wars are beginning to overlap and merge with each other, man. Okay, you have pestilence in the food. Okay, you got what the ticks, with the lie ticks. Okay, there's a recall on every goddamn thing. Except for airheads and Skittles, like brothers been getting into. You see, and now we're seeing earthquakes on the uptick, and they're becoming more massive. And it's all in these diverse places. And these are the beginning of sorrows, man. This is the Lord setting the stage for great judgment, man. Okay, and you American people, you can get ready, because it's going to be the worst right here in America, man. Okay, so let's go from there. I want to play this quick video. And y'all let me know if the sound good, if I'm coming through loud. It should be good, man. But last week and a half, screen y'all was tripping. But y'all let me know if I'm good on the sound, and also let me know if it's an echo in the video. I think I got the echo cancellation right. But y'all just let me know if I was shot.
And off the top at 5 today, the death toll is rising after a massive earthquake shook Colombia.
More than 200 people are dead and over 3,000 people are missing following yesterday's magnitude 7.4 quake.
Emergency crews are now frantically searching for any survivors. Teams and residents seen combing through the rubble in Barrera, one of the towns hardest hit by the natural disaster.
Rescue efforts are paying off more than 100 miles south in Cali. First responders seen pulling a 35-year-old man to safety after a building collapse. Miraculously, he only suffered minor injuries.
And today we are seeing the widespread scale of the destruction on the ground. Video out of the western city of Manizales shows collapsed and crumbled buildings.
We have team coverage. Brett Neese is standing by with how South Florida is stepping up to help. We begin with Aaron Mabin in the newsroom with the latest conditions on the ground. Aaron.
Yeah, the devastation is really something. Right now, emergency workers are scrambling to find survivors after Monday's earthquake. The government has declared a natural disaster as the death toll continues to climb. More than 24 hours after a 7.4 magnitude earthquake rocked Western Colombia, emergency workers are racing against the clock to find survivors buried underneath the rubble and debris. At least 1,500 homes have been damaged or destroyed, and Colombia's Geological Service has recorded more than 70 aftershocks across the country since Monday's earthquake.
I am from California, so I grew up with earthquakes. I'm very familiar with them.
Mark Aronson says he experienced a violent shaking of California's North Ridge earthquake back in 1994. But yesterday's earthquake in Colombia felt different to him.
This was in another category. I've never felt anything like this. It was scary. It started like any normal earthquake would, with some gentle rumbling. And then the strange thing about this, it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And it just kept going and going and going.
Supplies are being collected and help mobilized from organizations across the world, including the Global Empowerment Mission.
He said it kept getting worse. He said he never felt nothing like that. He's been through earthquakes, but he never felt nothing like that, man. Now whether Esau, is in the mix, but you can never count this nigga out. But at the end of the day, we know it's the Lord that's the source of it. Okay, we know it's our power that's at the source of it, man. These are birth pains. Okay, if a brother want to post that as well, 2nd Ezra 16, 37 through 39, Abaratazah. Okay, but these are birth pains, okay, of the coming judgment. You see, These earthquakes are becoming more powerful, man. These more powerful earthquakes are happening more frequently. You see, and this is just a sign Yahweh Shah told us to look for to let us know, all right, of his second coming. You see? So let's play a little more.
We need hands, we need volunteers in order for Colombia to move forward.
As recovery efforts continue, the United Nations is warning that food distribution will be crucial in the coming days, with the number of people
In order for them to survive.
And this evening, the president of Colombia is on the ground assessing the damage and has already ordered economic relief measures for those impacted by the earthquake. Janice?
Okay, Aaron, thank you. And
So yeah, let's get this real quick from the brother, the beloved brother, young Yasha Allah. All right. So you go here and say this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 29, in verse 6. And it says, "Thou shalt be visited of the Lord of hosts with thunder and with earthquake and great noise and with storm." Okay. And this is part of the Lord visitation. It says, "And with tempest and with flame or devouring fire," man. And we know it's been the upticks on wildfires in America and the EU. And there's no coincidence that these wildfires are on the uptick in America and the EU, man. Okay. So what we're seeing is the Lord began to ramp up his visitation, man, because before Yahweh Shah physical appearance, all right, for he physically comes to the earth, man, he's going to be visiting the earth with plagues. You see, these things are this is the theme music for Yahweh Shah. Y'all remember how the wrestlers used to come out, with the theme music, you hear when it get dark in the arena, and you hear them bells, the Undertaker was coming out, man, or you hear that glass break, okay, and that nigga Stone Cold, all right, come out there wobbling, goddamn, with them beers. Well, these plagues that we're seeing is a theme music for Yahweh Shah. Okay, more earthquakes, more conflicts between these nations. Okay, more famine. Okay, more pestilence. You see, this is Yahweh Shah's theme music. Okay, before he comes to the arena of this realm, man. Okay, so yep, brother got that. This is the brother serving. Let me see. All right, it's a brother servant of Yahweh Shah, 2nd Esdras 6, 16 and 37 said, "Behold, the plagues draw nigh and are not slack, as when a woman with child in the 9th month bringing forth her son with 2 or 3 hours of birth, great pains compass her womb." So what we're in now, okay, is in the midst of birth pains, where things are going to continually, they're going to become more frequent and it'll become more intense. That's why even when they stop fighting and go back to fighting, it's more intense every time. Okay, just like birth pain, like contractions. You see, women that have children, they understand that concept of those contractions. Okay, they stop a moment, then they come back more intense, and then it becomes shorter spaces in between those contractions. That's the body, getting itself ready to give birth, man. Okay, and the earth is getting ready to give birth, all right, to judgment and to the second coming of Yahweh Shah, man. Okay, verse 39, "Even so shall not the plagues be slack to come up on the earth, and the world shall mourn, and sorrow shall come upon it on every side." That's brother Yashima, tribe of Judah, 2nd Esdras 16 and 39. Okay, so this is where we at, man. So we're going to constantly see these things, on the uptick, okay, and on the rise. Okay, yep, just like the brother got this. Yep, the brother got this one as well. Let me segue real quick over here. Okay, you Americans can get ready, all right, because you're in the crosshairs, because the elites look at you as being in the way. You know, all you Americans that's protesting the data centers, and y'all done started this tech movement. Okay, y'all done started this y'all going hard on exposing the AI, and you know, suppose you got the deflock. You know, people are destroying, you know, the flock cameras. Okay, so they're getting ready to come down hard. You know, with let me see. Okay, this shit, yeah, they're getting ready to come down hard on you Americans, man. You know, they're at least gonna drop the hammer, okay, on you American people. Now, this is 2nd Esdras 13-29 say, behold, the days come when the Most High will begin to deliver them that are upon the earth, man, and that's the elect, okay, because Yahushua is coming with deliverance and he's coming with judgment, man, you know, and may we reside on the side of judgment, of mercy, man, and may the judgment pass over us, man, and may we reside on the side of the Lord's mercy, man, okay, because it's the Most High that's bringing judgment. Esau is just a tool. You know, that's why when we speak of the elites, we have to speak of them as tools of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. Okay? The source of the judgment is from my power, man. You see? And it says 2nd Esdras 13:30 says, and he shall come to the astonishment of them that dwell on the earth. Verse 31. It says, 2nd Esdras 13:31, and one shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, and one realm against another, man. So it's going to be going down on all levels, man. Okay, and the psychological operations have been put in place that has created a great divide, okay, amongst all classes, man. And then the Most High has the least divided, man. You know, and these nations divided, man. You know, if they agree on this one goal of a new world order, they're divided, okay, on how it should run, okay, which is creating this fight. So it's going to be fighting on every level, man. You know, nation against nation, okay, states against states, communities against communities, this ideology versus this ideology. It's going to be it's division on every level, man. Okay, now let's go here, okay. Because you Americans are ready to crash, all right? And it's intentionally, you know, the spirit of crashing out is intentionally being infused in the psyche of you Americans, man. Okay? Well, let's play this.
Y'all want to know one real reason why America's crashing out like crazy right now? Mediocrity don't hit like it used to, baby. See, once upon a time in America, you could be real mid and still thrive. Mediocre effort, boom, you get a house, car, annual vacation, pension, hell, maybe even a boat. You could clock in, coast through the week, grill on Sundays, and still retire with dignity. But that era is dead and gone, baby. And instead of leveling up or adapting, they're mad, they're bitter, and they're not even blaming the billionaires. They blaming you. They have the audacity to blame me. They blaming immigrants, black people, queer folk, anyone they think is taking something that used to be theirs by default. It gets them that comfort. They start rewriting the rules to rig the game again. It ain't about fairness. It's about preserving the lie that being average should still be enough for them.
Your elites have burned through your empire like crepe paper. The American people thought they were on the team, and they're the first ones to be sacrificed. And then the politicians thought that they were on the team, and they got sacrificed too. Every single one of you gets fed through that machine. Every single one of you gets fed through that extraction vacuum machine that you have used to ransack the whole world. And all the time thinking that ransacking and thinking that all of that pillage was all being done for you. All that time thinking that you were wreaking havoc in the global south, extracting other people's resources, other people's natural wealth, stealing and looting and enslaving people. You thought it was all being done for Bob and Linda in the suburbs. You thought that the colonial imperial monster of America was in service to you and to your comfort and to your convenience. You thought that the whole world was being subjugated to be your footstool, Team America. And you got fat and you got lazy and illiterate and unskilled and complacent and over-entertained and self-indulgent and stupid. And you thought that the carnage machine would just keep feeding you and never feed upon you because Team America. No, you never understood how any of this works in reality or why.
America is going straight to HE double hockey sticks.
Yeah, man, and he summed it up. You know, you're cheerleaded. All right, you have cheerleaded, okay, the American empire, you know, as it terrorized the earth, stole resources, okay, as you know, this greatest country mantra, okay, all the while, all right, this American system has been setting you up for failure, okay, it made you more dependent, okay, and the reason why, you know, the elites have so much leverage is because of dependency. You see, you people, you traded in your independence, you know, your ability to grow your own food, okay, the wisdom of, you know, building houses and living off the land, okay, being self-sufficient. You traded all that in for convenience, you know, the perks of the dollar, okay, which made you more dependent. And now it's an on and off switch on your life, okay, because when they turn the grid off, man, millions are going to die just based off dependency alone, okay, and it's going to be a brawl for it all. You see, so while you've been cheering, you know, the good old USA, you've been enjoying, you know, the culture, you know, sports, the nightlife, okay, the instant celebrity, okay, through social media you can become an instant celebrity, you can go viral, you know, and create a revenue stream. You know, you can have no skills and create revenue, okay. So while you Americans have been enjoying, you know, the folly, okay, and the perks that come, you know, with this American system, you was being set up for failure, okay. You don't know how nothing works. You don't even think for yourself anymore. There's a system that thinks for you, okay. There's a system that tells you what to get mad at, what to be sad about, what to glorify, what to praise, okay, win a riot, okay. There's a system, all right, that tells you every move. You see, so you people don't understand how enchanted you are, man, okay. And now these devils have it to where people are ready to crash out, people are divided, and people are going to be desperate for a solution, okay, and that solution is going to be to see him, okay. American dream is over, all right, and they're going to present technocracy, all right, as an upgrade of that former American dream, man, okay. And before they do that, they're going to allow chaos to ensue because they want to depopulate a lot of you Americans, man. You know, I can't find it. I used to, I seen it in the clip, you know, where they dealt with J.D. Vance, which he's a heavy technocrat. But he said they want the population in America to be like 50 million, man. And there's 340 million. So that's close to 300 million people, okay, that they want out of here, man. Okay, so let's go here. This one going to go into it a little more. All right, and if a brother can post that too, Second Ezra 8:50. Bible shot. Yep, Second Ezra 8:50. Well, let's go here because. And it's ironic, you know, as I was watching this video, because what we're seeing play out, okay, is the playbook that they ran in Germany, Nazi Germany with Hitler. Okay, Trump is playing a role. Okay, he's like a neo Hitler. Okay, with the psychology behind his presidency, man. When you go into it, it's the same playbook, and this guy, all right, he's gonna go into it and draw the comparisons of Trump, okay, and Hitler, man, okay, because the same people, the same families that put Hitler on, are the same families that put Trump on, okay. Hitler was financed by Rockefeller Oil, and Rockefeller is what? The American branch of the Rothschilds, okay. When you look into Donald Trump, when he went into debt, who got Donald Trump out of the debt? It was the Rothschilds. Okay, the same people that propped up, all right, Hitler, okay, and made him this opposition, okay, made him the boogeyman, to forward, all right, a Jewish state, all right, the Israeli state. You see, the same people that ran that play, all right, they set up Trump, and it's another major psyop that they're running on the masses as they're getting ready to switch to a technocracy, man, which is going to be, this technocracy is going to be ushered in. It's going to roll over you American citizens, man. Okay? It's going to completely just roll through you American citizens, this whole technocracy agenda, man. Okay? They plan to forward their technocracy in America through blood. Okay, and look justified in doing it. Now, let's the brother got this, the brother Shahal, 2nd Ezra 8:50 said, "For many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride." Okay, and you Americans have this great pride and this pump about yourself, why your leaders are Satanists and pedos. Okay, you cheered them on. Because even like Venezuela was a measuring, it measured the psyche of you Americans. Because you Americans cheered that on. You made memes about Trump, like he was this superhero tough guy. You had these American intellectuals talking about, well, it's good, it's best if we had the oil anyway, because they wasn't doing nothing with it. Which that goes back to, all right, that scientific racism, as if everyone outside, well, because really, is Esau push it as everyone is not an Edomite is inferior, and he's justified in conquering and taking because he's so superior that he's going to be, he should be the one to have all the resources. Okay, when you go into that scientific racism, doctrine of discovery, they're still running that same play. Okay, that's why they go into these other lands and take resources as if no one is there. Because they believe, well, if we can demonize these people and make them seem less than human, then we're justified in going and getting their resources. Because leading up to Venezuela, what was they were doing? They were just blowing those speedboats, fishing boats, and calling them what? Not drug cartels. Okay, drug cartels. So people look at Venezuela as just a big drug operation. So when he goes down there and does his wickedness and takes the oil, he looks like a hero, and you people cheer for it, man. Okay, there was so much American pride in few days after Venezuela, man. But that's the psyche of you Americans, man. You cheer this wicked empire on, and that's why the Lord is going to allow the same system you cheer for, okay, to have your blood in the streets, man, to terrorize you. Okay, it's going to be great miseries, man. You see, so let's play this.
During World War II, the United States government studied Adolf Hitler. They wanted to understand exactly how his type of propaganda worked so they could beat it. The Office of Strategic Services, the OSS, the agency that eventually became CIA, commissioned psychoanalyst Walter Langer to build a psychological profile of Adolf Hitler in 1943. And what Langer documented was the propaganda playbook. 8 rules Hitler used to control an entire country with propaganda. Every single one of the rules is backed by modern psychology, and every single one of these propaganda tactics is being used against American citizens right now by the Trump regime. Here are the 8 propaganda rules Trump and Stephen Miller are using against the American people right now. Rule number 1, never allow the public to cool off. Trump has created a new crisis every single week since he took office. Immigration, tariffs, Greenland, Panama, Canada. Never once a moment of calm. Never a single week where Americans can sit down and process what just happened before the next explosion hits. This isn't unplanned chaos. This is a strategy. Neuroscientist Garrett Reese, At University College London, scanned the brains of thousands of people with different political beliefs and found that conservatives have a larger, more reactive amygdala. That is the fear center of your brain. It's responsible for processing anxiety, rage, and fear. When the amygdala is activated, the prefrontal cortex shuts down. That's the part of the brain that's responsible for critical thinking, reasoning, and long-term decision-making. The brain can't be afraid and think clearly at the same time. So if you keep creating crises after crises flowing to the American people, you keep the amygdala firing. And if you keep the amygdala...
And it's all scripted with the devil, you know? That's why just one crisis, one this after the next, okay? They give you Diddy, then they give you the Epstein, okay? Then they give you the Nolan Wells, then this is big uproar about Greenland, you know? Then this is thing about Cuba, you know, Venezuela, from Venezuela, Iran, you know? It just never ended, you see? And it's going to be constantly one thing after another. Okay? Trump arguing with Pete Hegseth about the weapon, like them niggas didn't know what they had. Okay? You see? And it's just all this infighting, you know, Trump and BB arguing. Them niggas ain't arguing, man. Okay? It's just another distraction. It's just another story, all right, to keep people, you know, in fear. Okay? Uncertainty. Okay, you know, oil shortages with the Hunter virus. Remember how the Hunter virus that went away, Ebola that went away. So what they're doing, they just want to break down the minds. They want people worn out. Okay, they want people, you know, in a state of desperation and worn out. Okay, what's that? Ephesians the 6 and 10. Yeah, Ephesians 6 and 10. Yeah, verses 11 and 12 as well. Ephesians chapter 6, verses 11. Ephesians chapter 6, yeah, verse 11, verse 10, 11, and 12. You know? And this is what we're dealing with. And see, people don't understand the wickedness in high places that they're dealing with. People don't understand the subtlety, okay, of Esau, man. Okay? The psychological war that he wages on the masses, okay, and it's breaking people down. Okay, he don't care what you're mad about, as long as you're mad. He don't care what you're sad about, as long as you're sad. He don't care what you're fearful about, as long as you're fearful. Okay, so let's play this some more.
A calm population is a thinking population. A thinking population is dangerous to a leader who cannot survive scrutiny. So the leader never lets the people calm down. And this chaos has been running 24 hours a day in the United States since Trump took office again. Rule number 2, never admit fault or being wrong about anything. Trump has never apologized for anything in his entire political career. Not for mocking a disabled reporter, not for calling veterans losers, not for the Access Hollywood tapes, not for the insurrection on January 6th. Not once, not ever. This is not stubbornness. This is a psychological weapon. Researcher Brene Brown at the University of Houston spent over 2 decades studying shame. She found that some people have a low tolerance and ability to process shame. They can't separate a mistake from their identity. Brown called it shame resilience. For these people, admitting they did something wrong does not feel like correcting an error. It feels like being exposed as worthless. Trump's followers have fused their identity with his. His wins are their wins. His losses are their losses. If Trump admits fault, his followers have to process what it means that they followed a man who was wrong. And for people with low shame resilience, that does not feel like learning. It feels like dying. So Trump never admits fault, not to protect himself, to protect the psychological structure his followers built around him. One apology and the entire thing cracks. Rule number 3, never concede that there may be some good in your enemy. Every Democrat is evil. Every journalist is the enemy of the people. Every critic is human scum. Every Republican who breaks ranks is a traitor. There is no middle ground. There is no nuance. There is no acknowledgement that the other side might have a point about anything. Psychologists at the Catholic University of Louvain in Belgium studied what happens when one group stops seeing another group as fully human. They developed this theory after watching the Belgian public react to the Rwanda genocide. The press and the public showed far more concern for 10 Belgian soldiers killed in the conflict than for the 800,000 Rwandans killed in the conflict. They called this infrahumanization.
And you see this even now, you know, here it is. They can kill thousands of Iranian citizens, okay, Yemeni citizens, okay, thousands of, you know, Gaza citizens, okay, and it just a shrug of the shoulders. But you kill 1 or 2, okay, American military personnel, and it's the headline news, okay, and that's a form of dehumanizing the enemy. Okay, and guess what? They done ran that same play with Jake. Okay, when they were sending ICE to these inner cities. Okay, what do? They had to dehumanize, okay, the tribes. Immigration, that's a way of them dehumanizing the northern tribes. Okay, the inner cities is a way of them dehumanizing the southern tribes. Okay, so when they fully go with their sword, all right, doing Jacob trouble, okay, they're gonna look justified. They're gonna look like they're solving the problem. Okay, you see, and the Lord got all this set up, man, because the Lord want to judge 2/3. So the Lord got all this happening, and the Lord is the mastermind behind all this, man. All right. Matter of fact, we got, I think, got it yesterday, Job 12 and 16 and 17. Okay. Let's read a couple precepts. We'll get back. Yep, that's a beautiful point. They're running out of time. They gotta hurry this shit up. You know, they ain't got time to run you know, they gotta do no huddle now. You know, there's a beautiful point, and we always get it. And the scriptures say, knowing that you have but a short time. All right, that this man, well, you're gonna come down with great wrath. You see, because he ain't got time, you know, to run this slow offense anymore. He gotta come on with it. Okay, so let's go here. This is Ephesians chapter 6 and 10. Okay, and it's from the brother Anah. All right, it says, finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the might of his will. Okay, so we have to be strong in the will of Yahweh Shema Shai, and that's why in these last days, so we have, because see, we have a sure foundation in Yahweh Shai. We have a doctrine, we have a belief, okay, that we can anchor ourselves down with, so we can be strong in our power. We can be strong in our belief of what the Lord is getting ready to do. Okay, but if you don't have that, if you don't have nothing to anchor yourself to, Esau gonna have you all over the place, tossed to and fro. Okay, to where you don't know what you believe, man. You just want some type of normalcy. Okay, but we know the end game ain't normalcy. All right, it's getting back to chilling in America. No, we want a new kingdom. Okay, we want this war to continue. We want the civil unrest because these things are necessary. Okay, reading on verse 11, it's the brother Yashima tribe of Judah. It said, put on the whole armor of the Most High, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devils. And the wiles goes back into the Greek word methodios, which goes into the methods. Okay, and the devil method is confusion, distraction, doubt, you know, fear, overwhelming you, getting you to be emotional. Okay, even with this whole Nolan Wells things, man, don't be surprised if they let them Edomites get off. You know, whether the whole thing is just, you know, a staged event or whatever, they took a real event and ran with it. However it play out, but don't be surprised if they let them Edomites get off, you know, to get a reaction out of Jake. Okay, they make this trial, you know, a big thing. Okay, and then they let them Edomites off scot-free. Okay, pushing in the news, and you see, that's something that, and that's how these devils play it, man. You know, so we understand the tactics of these devils, you know, and it's to prick and pry at the emotions of the masses and wear them down, man. Okay, people are being worn down to crashing out and tapping out, man. You know, that's why you have people saying, look, I don't care if I don't wake up tomorrow. Okay, that's from all this psychological operation, these enchantments, man, are making people weak. You know, but we should be getting stronger as we see our power at work, man. Okay, Ephesians 6 and 12 says, this is another one from the brother Anah, GMS all in 144. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places, man. So these events, social media, different characters, these influencers, even these influencers, man, are tapped in. You can't just be a content creator with influence. No, you got to check in now. You got to get down with the program. You got to push agendas now. Okay. If you on the internet with influence, no. You don't just get to have influence. You got to push this agenda to keep that influence, man. Okay. And this is what we're seeing. Okay. This is what we're seeing in real time. It's Esau Edom, is making it to where if you're on the internet, but see, that's the thing, as your house shy, if a brother want to get that as well, St. John 8 and 32 and verse 36, St. John chapter 8, verse 32 and 36. You see, we've been freed from the enchantments, man, and it's a fight not to get back enchanted. That's why we got to, the scripture say, examine ourselves, monitor ourselves, man. Pay attention to what we're watching, because we can do, because even with the news, man, like, I watch a lot of news, but then, I have to take some days off, mainly on the weekend, and de-stress from the news, kind of recenter myself, just tap into your house shot, and then get back to it, because people get caught up in these cycles, okay, these echo chambers, and then they become enchanted and all over the place, man. Okay, so let's play some more of this.
Unconscious belief that your group experiences the full range of human emotions, but the other group does not. They feel pain, but not the way we feel pain. They suffer, but not the way we suffer. They are human, but not as human as we are. Once that switch flips, empathy becomes impossible. You can't feel compassion for someone you don't see as fully human. And if you can't feel compassion for them, you can justify anything you do to them. Trump does not just disagree with Democrats. He strips them of their humanity. He calls them vermin, or scum, or the enemies from within. That language is not careless. That language is a prerequisite for everything that comes next. Rule number 4, never leave room for alternatives. There's only one man who could fix it all. He said it himself. I alone can fix it. Not the party, not the platform, not the institutions. Me. Psychologist Ari Kruglansky at the University of Maryland spent decades studying people who needed answers and could not deal with uncertainty. He found that some of these people have a powerful psychological need for definitive answers. They can't tolerate ambiguity. They can't sit with uncertainty. They need the story to be simple and the answer to be final. He called it the need for cognitive closure. Alternative solutions create ambiguity. If there are other leaders, other solutions, other approaches, then the followers have to evaluate, compare, and choose one. That requires critical thinking. That requires tolerating uncertainty while everyone figures it out. A leader who eliminates all alternative answers eliminates the need to think. There is only one answer. There is only one leader. There is only one truth. And for the people with a high need for closure, that feels like relief. It doesn't feel like authoritarianism to them. That's why every Republican alternative to Trump was destroyed. Not because they were wrong, but because their existence created ambiguity. And that ambiguity is intolerable to people who need certainty to function. Rule number 5, never accept blame. Wrong is someone else's fault. The Democrats, the deep state, Obama, Biden, China, the media, the judges, the prosecutors. Never him, not once him. Psychologist Ziva Kunda at the University of Waterloo studied how people process information that threatens their beliefs. She found that the brain does not evaluate evidence objectively. It evaluates evidence based on what conclusions the brain wants to reach. She called this motivated reasoning. If a person is motivated to believe Trump is right, their brain will process every piece of evidence through that filter. Good news is proof he is right. Bad news is proof someone else sabotaged him. Contradictory evidence is proof that the conspiracy is bigger than you thought. If Trump never accepts blame, his followers never have to process blame. The mental model stays intact. The leader is perfect. The enemies are the problem. And Trump's followers never have to face the terrifying possibility that they gave their loyalty to someone.
And I'm going to say this as well. And these two main groups, IUIC and ISUPK, they use the same method. Now, these guys we know have sold out. And you best believe they're getting coached up, okay, on how to do psychological operations on their congregation, man. You know, because Nate will never, Bishop Nate will never confess to being wrong. General Hunter, they never confess to being wrong. These guys don't never confess to being wrong in the doctrine, man. Okay? They'll never do that. You see? And that goes into psychological operation. They know exactly what they're doing. These men are intentional. When you look at Bishop Nathaniel Jr. Hunter, you best believe they've been coached up on how to do psychological warfare on the congregation, man. The way that they talk, okay, the speech, the way, the tone, the voice, the way they drag words, all that play into psychological operation, man. But they can never be wrong, okay? They go from this doctrine to this doctrine. If you in IUIC and ISUPK, you don't know what the MOTB is, okay? You don't know what it is. So when it come and it's mandated, you're gonna be through. And that was the intent the whole time. As long as you're confused, Nate don't care what you think the MOTB is. As long as you're confused on it, ISUPK the same thing. They don't care what you think the MOTB is, as long as you're confused on it, man. Okay. So even with, you know, of course, just speaking of Esau, as we're going into it, you know, the whole Trump thing, but Nate and General Yohana, Bishop Nate and General Yohana, they be doing the same thing, man. You know, it's their psychological warfare. Okay? So let's play this.
Who did not deserve it. Rule number 6, concentrate on one enemy at a time and blame them for everything that goes wrong. Trump says immigrants. That is the current enemy. Your job is gone because of immigrants. Trump says your rent is high because of immigrants. Trump says your neighborhood is dangerous because of immigrants. Trump says your kids' schools are failing because of immigrants. One enemy, every problem. Psychologist Ari Kuglansky at the University.
And pretty soon that's gonna be us. You know, they're gonna blame us for everything. Okay, we're gonna be, all right, the enemy that they blame for everything. Because scripture say, well, we shall be hated by all men for his name's sake. Well, what can do that? Okay, this devil's mass propaganda. You see, so it's gonna come a time when we're gonna be, okay, in that hot seat and the blame for everything that's happening, man. We're gonna be that one enemy that gets the blame for everything, man. You know, so we got to prepare for that, man. You see, have your mind ready for that, man. Okay, that's why I say you got to embrace, you know, being a villain now, because it's coming. You know, in our day to day, when, you know, people make us the villain for everything, hey, guess what? They're just preparing us for being the villain on the mass scale. You know, this world is going to make us the villain for nothing, because Esau going to push their propaganda, and we're going to be the blame for everything. Okay, the economy, you see, you know, the war, we're going to be blamed for every goddamn thing, man. You see, the election, you know, you see, we're going to be, you know, they're going to make us an ally to all the extremism. Okay, they're going to make us that one enemy that's the problem and the blame for everything, man. And the scripts say what? The simple believe every word. If a brother want to post that, what's that? Proverbs 14 and 15, I believe. Okay. So as we go here, I think the brother got it. You go, St. John, this is brother GMS all in 144, the brother Anah. John 8:32 says, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. You see, so the Lord has us, you know, operating on the outside of these enchantments, you know, to where we can have sound judgment and understand sound doctrine. Okay. But we're looking at the majority of society, they're enchantment. That's why when you go out into the world, you're dealing with people that are enchanted. Okay. That's why you got to be wise as, you know, as a serpent, harmless as a dove, because you're dealing with people that's enchanted, you know, and these people are willing to die for these certain enchantments, man. But Yahweh Shah, through the teaching of his word, this is what he set us free from, the enchantments of this world. You know, Colossians 1:12 and 1:13 as well, you know. So this is verse 36, St. John 8:36. If the Son therefore shall make you free, ye shall be free indeed. So if Yahweh Shai, because there's a remnant that's predestined. That's why the scriptures say, if possible, they will deceive the very elect, showing you that it's not possible to deceive the elect because we've been set free by Yahweh Shai. Okay, not to go back into these enchantments, man. You know, you have moments where you gotta check ourselves. Okay, why I say it's a continual fight not to be enchanted. You see, but if we're free, if we've been set free by Yahweh Shai, we of the elect, man, the Lord gonna set it up to where we're not gonna go back. Okay, the new world order is not gonna look appealing to us, man. You see, trying to find a solution within this system is not gonna look appealing to us, man, because we've been set free. Okay, our people are still in the prison of thinking according to these psyops and enchantments, man. You know, but the elect have been set free from their way of thinking, man, to where we can operate on the outside of it, man. Okay, this is the brother Yashima tribe of Judah, Proverbs 14:15. The simple believe every word, but the prudent man looketh well into his going. Okay, so we're gonna have a lot of our people that are simple as hell. They're gonna believe everything that this man puts on his news. Okay, they're set up to believe everything that this man, you know, is gonna put on the news, man. Okay, that's why the scriptures speak about what? Us being betrayed. You see, the scriptures speak about us being betrayed by, you know, family, friends, you know, wives, brothers, sisters. Okay, because they're gonna buy into the propaganda. You know, a lot of our people that's around us are getting ready to buy into this propaganda, man. So that's why, you know, we shouldn't be so caught up in trying to, you know, into these moments in time right now. You know, you might miss something, you might miss that, you might ain't seen people in a while. Hey, it is what it is, man. You know, I move, I get to you when I get to you. If I get to you, man. If I never see you again, I'm okay with that too. You know, if I get to you, I can. It ain't nothing intentional. It's just what it is, man. It's just us being locked into this. You know, we just locked in, and then we know, all right, how this thing finna go. How Shai put us on game. Okay, and we know the simple are going to believe every word when the devil, you know, push their propaganda, man. Okay, so let's play a little more of this.
University of Maryland studied why ordinary people join extremist movements. He found that the primary driver is not ideology. It's the need to feel like your life matters. He called this the significance quest theory. When people feel invisible, unimportant, or irrelevant, they will grab onto anything that gives their suffering a cause and their life a mission. A single enemy does both. It explains why your life is hard and gives you someone to fight. Yesterday, you were a guy with a dead-end job and no direction. Today, you're a patriot defending your country from an invasion. You didn't get a raise. You didn't accomplish anything anyone noticed. But you alone are standing between America and the enemy at the gate, and that feels like purpose. A scattered set of complex problems is impossible to fight. A single enemy is simple. Simple is satisfying, and satisfying is addictive. Rule number 7. People will believe a big lie sooner than they believe a little lie. The election was stolen, not a small exaggeration, not a spin on the numbers. It's a massive, total, complete fabrication that every court rejected, every audit disproved, and every election official, including Republicans, confirmed was false. And tens of millions of people believe it anyway. Psychologist Lee Ross at Stanford University studied what happens when a person forms a belief based on information that is later completely discredited. And he found something wild. The belief survives even after it being proved wrong. Even after the person is told the original information was false. Even after these people are shown proof. Even after they accept intellectually that the information was made up, the belief still persists. Ross called this belief perseverance. The brain does not store beliefs like files that can be deleted. It builds a web of connections around each belief. Explanations, justifications, memories, identities. By the time the original information is discredited, the web is already built. And that web does not collapse just because the foundation is removed. A big lie works better than a small one because a big lie generates a bigger web. A small lie is a single claim that can be checked and dismissed. A big lie becomes a worldview. It reorganizes everything in your brain. It becomes the lens through which every piece of new information is filtered. The election was stolen is not a claim. It's an operating system, and you can't uninstall an operating system by showing someone a fact. Rule number 8, repeat the lie frequently enough, and people will sooner or later believe it. Trump said fake news over 2,000 times in his first term alone. He said the election was stolen hundreds of times. Fox News repeated it. Newsmax repeated it. Right-wing podcasters repeated it. Truth Social repeated it. It was repeated every single day from every source his followers trust. In 1961, psychiatrist Robert Lifton studied survivors of Chinese communist brainwashing. Cult leaders don't just control what followers think. They control whether their followers think at all. Lifton called this thought stopping. Here's how it works. Cult leaders preload a response inside the follower's head. The second a threatening thought appears, a phrase fires automatically, and the brain shuts off before the thought can fully form. Fake news, witch hunt, deep state, TDS. Trump preloaded 4 of these phrases into each one of his followers. He did it the same way every cult leader does it. Repetition. Say the phrase every single day. Attach that phrase to fear and anger. Repeat it until the brain does it automatically. Trump said fake news over 2,000 times in his first term alone. Fake news, witch hunt, deep state, TDS. These are the 4 programmed responses. You spend hours building an argument, gathering sources, collecting evidence, making your case, and a Trump supporter kills it in 2 words: fake news, before it even registers. Lifton documented the same technique in every cult he ever studied. It works because the followers have no idea it's happening to them. The United States government wrote this playbook down in 1943. 8 rules, every single one backed by decades of modern psychological research. They made this playbook so Americans could recognize if it ever happened again. It's happening again. The OSS profiled Hitler so America could defeat fascism. 80 years later, a fascist is using the same playbook from inside the White House, and 30% of the country is too programmed to see it.
And it's something, one of the main, enemies, that this government pushes is Antifa, which Antifa stands for anti-fascism. But here it is, the President Trump, he's using a fascist playbook, which fascism is just another word to say dictator. That's another thing. He saw use all these words, and a lot of them mean the same thing, But here it is, one of his biggest enemies, one of the biggest enemies that this government, has, demonized in the last, few years has been Antifa. Okay, when you think of Antifa, you think of extremists, crazy liberals or whatever. But when you think that Antifa, it's just mean anti-fascism. But here it is, Trump is using fascist style, propaganda and psychology to brainwash the masses. Okay, here it is. They teach you that Hitler was, well, he was one of the iconic, infamous, figures, of the 20th century, 21st century. You see, when now they're using the same tactics of brainwashing and psyops, real time. And people, and another thing that these devils bank on too is you people don't know nothing. Okay, you have a nigga mad at Antifa. You have a nigga marching in the protest with a anti, Antifa sign. But if you ask that nigga what Antifa meant, he wouldn't know. If you ask him what fascism is, he wouldn't know. Okay, people telling you that you're anti-Sim, but if you told them what is Semitic, what is Sim, what does Semitic mean? What does they go back to? They wouldn't know. Okay. Why? Because they're just operating off an enchantment in the programming. They've been taught how to react. They've been trained how to reason and how not to think, but just go with the pre-programmed, enchantments and psyops, man. Okay, and this man, he's heavily into this, man. Okay, that's why, as the brother put, let's go here. This is their Psalm 64:5. It said they encourage themselves in the evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily. They say, who shall see them? And this is from the brother GMSDC Tazadak Dayara 144. Okay, and these devils been doing this in the background for a long, this deep psychology that they've been pushing. Okay, then they give you these foods that dumb you down, that make you more susceptible to it. And then it's a culture of drugs. There's a culture of overindulgence. Okay, and these drugs open people up, you know, to demons and more enchantments. Okay, so you American people are ready for the taking, man. You know, and it's gonna come a time where they're gonna hit the off switch on this grid, okay, on this money, on the food, and let you people just go at it, man, because you're ready to crash out, you're ready to destroy each other, okay, on the drop of a dime. Now, let's go here. This says they search out iniquities, they accomplish a diligent search, both the inward thought of every one of them, and the heart is deep. Yeah, so Esau, he's deep into this, man. As we went into this guy Edward Binyard, Binyay, if I'm saying it right, okay, which you know, he went heavy onto what you call the programming the subconscious. You know, I did a lesson on not too long ago. I wonder if I can find that video. See if I can find it. But yeah, I'm gonna put this up. You know, get this in Isaiah. Let me get this. Yeah, if you're a slave to the flesh, Esau got all the leverage. Yeah. You know, if your flesh, you know, Esau's all the leverage, man. You know, and you know, he's able to program the flesh to do what it wants. Okay, and what he's finna do is deprive people of their fleshly desires. Okay, allow people to crash out, X each other out, you know, because he wants, you know, you Americans to unalive each other. Okay, in the midst of the chaos, he's going to emerge, okay, with this technocracy, this device. Okay, because the C-HIP is going to link you to the technocracy, man. Okay, the micro C-HIP is going to make you a citizen of technocracy. You're going to be an official citizen of Esau's technocracy. Okay, if you take that C-HIP, man, you know, which ain't no coming back from that. You see? So let's go here, as we always get. Okay, let me see real quick. I might can find that video I just seen the other day. Go to here. But it's a pretty good video, we brothers and sisters haven't seen, what just goes into, you know, the propaganda. Okay, beginning with Americans' public relations. Let's see. Let's watch it later. See if I can find it. Give me a second. Goddamn devil, man. And the good news, you know, part of the gospel, okay, is that we know this devil loses, man. You see, we know Esau loses, man. So everything that this man has going on, it's in vain, okay? But it's set up, you know, to take the undesirables, all right, the ones that the Lord don't want anyway. You know, it's desired, you know, to take them. You see? So maybe I find and cue it up for the next one. Well, yeah, let's just go into here. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 44, and verse 24. It said, "Thus saith the Lord, how by Shema Shaddai, Redeemer, He that formed thee from the womb. I am the Lord that maketh all things, that stretcheth forth the heavens alone, that spreadeth abroad the earth by myself." Man, you see, this is the power whom we serve. And he said he calls him what? He calls himself our Redeemer. We're going to be redeemed from this madness, man. Okay, the Lord's going to deliver us and destroy everything that this devil, okay, has going on in the earth. That's another thing. Not only is Esau's infrastructure, his technocracy, And now that's going to be destroyed by all these enchantments that this devil, okay, has cast on the earth, man. That's going to be destroyed, man. All right. The elements and all the works therein. And this devil has been laboring heavy, you know, to enchant the masses, man. It says, I am the Lord that maketh all things, that stretcheth forth the heavens alone, that spreadeth abroad the earth by myself, that frustrated the tokens of the liars and maketh the diviners mad, that turneth wise men backwards and maketh their knowledge foolish, man. You know, because everything that this devil is doing, all this labor he's putting into, you know, dumbing down the masses, having people confused and deceived, it's going to be for nothing. You know, and he's just doing what the Lord wants him to do, because the Lord wants people divided, because he wants civil unrest. The Lord wants, all right, a purge atmosphere in America. He wants you people to suffer, man. Okay, he wants, you know, he wants you to be dumbed down, confused, and enchanted. You see, because Esau was just a tool, all right, and he's a tool for mass confusion. Okay, because the Lord wants certain judgment to go forth. All right. But it said, verse 26, it said, they confirmed the word of his servant, which is the prophets, and performed the counsel of his messengers, man. You see? So Esau is going to get off, but guess what? He's going to lose. Because the counsel of his messengers, which is the counsel of the Lord, okay? Because we're the messengers, man. Okay? And we prophesied that this devil is going to lose, man. He's going to get so far with this agenda. Okay? He's going to be like a madman, sparing none. He's going to, all right, switch over this system to a digital, okay, technocracy, man, and mandate this technocracy. But then he's going to lose. Okay, he's going into captivity, man, along with the rest of these heathens, man. And there's an elect that's going to be delivered, man, and changed. The Yahushua is going to come establish the throne of David in the earth, man. And that's all part of the counsel of his messengers, which is the counsel of the Lord, which is why I said, well, we're the messengers. You see? We're just the messengers of the counsel of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. It says, thou shalt be inhabited. It says, thou shalt be inhabited into the cities of Judah. Ye shall be built, and I will raise up the decayed places thereof, man. And that's established us in the land, okay, of Israel, in our land as rulers, man. Okay? We're going to be reestablished in our land, okay, as kings and priests, as gods, man. You know? Brothers, we're going to be gods, man, in righteousness, man. You see? And rule the earth forever, man, with Yahushua. That's part of their counsel, man. Okay, so what Esau doing, you know, is short-sighted. Okay, it's going to be confounded. Okay, you know, the Lord's going to use this man to judge, but it's going to be confounded, man. Okay, so yeah, I'll leave it right there. You know, I think the point been made. You know, Lord will, you know, you brothers, all right, and you few sisters were edified once again. I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahushua Bahashem, Rakakodash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to us younger brothers, and peace and blessing salutation to you hopeful elect. You know, you brothers and sisters stay strong, you know, and keep fighting, you know, to stay on point. We almost out of here, man. You know, the water for tuning in, the water to you brothers to add to the screen, you know, the water for, you know, you sisters' humility, you know, listening in silence, you know, and may, you know, we all be blessed, man, in these latter days, man. Shalom.